Welcome to the Industry Insider, brought to you by Promo Corner. Each week, promotional product professionals Meg Erber, Jeff Franklin, and Stephen McFadden, along with special guests, will discuss industry news, trends, and events with a focus on educating the promotional products industry. The Industry Insider, the nerdy news you need to know.
Welcome to another edition of the Industry Insider, your promotional products podcast where you can get all the nerdy news you need to know about. My name is Jeff Franklin, National Accounts Manager with Headwear USA, and I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. But as usual, we've got to tell you about our good friends over at SAGNY, bringing us the Promotions East show coming up in October. So we've got a little video clip for you guys. Stay tuned.
SAGNY is thrilled to be hosting the all-new Promotions East. New dates, new location, and new experience. Join us October 17th through the 19th at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, where we will meet, stay, and play all in one place. Registration is now open for distributors. Visit promotionseast.com/attend and use promo code PC2022 to claim your free registration. Check out promotionseast.com for all the details and follow SAGNY on social media.
Man, I am not going to lie. This video ad reads are so much better than me talking for 30 seconds, to be honest.
I just can't wait for Promotions East. I am literally so excited. I think we're going live there, too. Steven, you're coming, right?
Yeah, of course. He has to because we're going live.
TBD. I am sending two people for sure, though. So
Awesome.
I'm on the fence. It's right before my daughter's birthday, and I get back from a work trip 2 days before it, so I'm trying to figure that out. So
it's right after my birthday, so I have to be there.
Well,
all right.
Well, I'm excited.
Fair enough. Well, yes, Promotions East, October 17th through the 19th. If you're not already registered, get registered. It's going to be an awesome show. Really looking forward to it. But we are joined today, like I said, I'm joined today by three other lovely folks. So why don't we say hey to Stephen McFadden? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's good to be live.
Yeah.
I feel like it's been a minute, so this is great. So
it is good to be live. And I still see that you've got the CAS next to the name. I'm assuming that you haven't beaten Meg to the race to MAS yet.
Maybe I'm sandbagging. Maybe I've made some progress, and maybe I just need to put in a new
Meg,
title.
you should probably just get this thing done to have the bragging rights. It would be good.
And I'll let you know, I'm unavailable for the next week or so, Meg. So if you want to get it done this week, you'll beat me. Just as
I'm right on that.
Just as a heads up.
Sounds like a challenge.
Anyway,
Meg, how are you doing this week? You doing all right?
I'm doing okay. I've had a really just a crazy week. We've been in these product preview meetings for next year. Learned about all the cool products and new trends. I've been working out. I've been going to jiu-jitsu. I'm bruised and swollen, but I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good.
You look swole.
I mean,
yeah, the last 2 or 3 weeks have been absolutely insane, crazy busy, but super excited for this podcast. Glad that we're live again, and excited that we're joined today by Kevin Oakley. Kevin, how are you doing today, man?
I'm doing really well. Thanks so much for having me.
Awesome. Well, for the folks that are listening, it is customary for us to give our listeners a good, or our special guest a good 3 to 4 minutes to introduce yourself to the listeners and tell us who you are, what you've been up to, and maybe how you got started in the promotional products industry and what you've been up to since. So take it away, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So my partner Shane and I, we started actually screen printing in high school. We come from a band background. So, we really started touring right around when I was like 15 or 16. And quickly realized there wasn't very much money in selling CDs, those types of things back then, CDs. But the biggest way we were able to make any money was selling T-shirts. Long story short, we bought some shirts from a friend in Sacramento. Came by to pick them up, and he was like, "Oh, I just have to print them still." And we're like, "What do you mean? Where's your shop?" And he's like, "Oh, it's just in the garage." And we're like, "It's in your garage?" So we saw a setup, and my partner Shane's like, "Hey, we could do this ourselves." So, we just bought like a small tabletop press, put it in his mom's spare bedroom, And we just started there, and then we upgraded to the garage, and now we occupy right around 30,000 square feet. But yeah, where I really got in touch with the promotional product space was really through contract printing. Through some local distributors here. Again, we came from a band background. We had no idea what the promotional product industry was at that time. And a local distributor came to us and he was like, hey, we have the situation where we supply you with the shirts and you guys just print it. And, that's kind of the situation. And we're like, oh, that seems a little strange. He's like, yeah, but I'm going to send you like a bunch of orders. And we're like, well, that sounds pretty good. So we started working with them. And then, so now we kind of focus a lot. We're still in the promotional product space. We focus a lot with companies who run company stores. That's really a place like where we shine. So setting up those initial designs, those types of things, and being able to produce the product, drop ship to individual locations. So, but yeah.
Awesome. So yeah, I mean, that is obviously why we've got you on here today. We're talking about what you guys have been up to. I know Meg has filled us in quite a bit and said that you're doing a ton of on-demand printing, and we want to talk about on-demand printing and how sustainable that is. So why don't you maybe give us a little bit of background about your company and how you've gotten into the on-demand stuff?
Yeah, for sure. So I'd say about in 2018, as we've always been screen printing, digital printing had really kind of come into play. But it just was never at a quality level that we felt really good about. In about 2018, a machine came out that we felt, okay, cool, we can put this out as well to kind of match the quality of our screen printing. And with that, we were like, okay, so we're going to do digital printing. We're going to be doing one-offs. What's like the best place for that to happen? And we kind of stumbled across on-demand, print on demand, that whole space as it was really coming about. And we kind of looked into it and we're like, man, this is really great because, we're all very aware that the apparel, the fashion space, it just contributes so much waste into the world, whether it's just product that's never sold, it's put into a landfill. In some countries it's burned, so it just creates an insane amount of pollution. And we're like, wow, what a great opportunity to get into this space where every single shirt that we print has already been sold. So we're not doing any of these like 10,000 piece runs of just one design. Every single piece is going to be unique and it's going to be shipped out to a person that's already purchased it. So we really invested a lot into that because the digital printing machines themselves are pretty expensive, but the actual workflow and the technology that it takes to take a design from a website directly to a printer and ship it out and still be in a price range that somebody's going to want to pay was the most difficult part. So,
can you really quickly tell us the difference for our listeners who may not know the difference between on demand and then just regular print shop? Those two differences, or the differences between the two shops?
Yeah, most definitely. I'm sure most of your listeners that are buying from SNS Activewear, of course, you'll buy 100 pieces. You're either printing it yourself, you're drop shipping to a contract decorator. They make screens. They put the screens up on the press. Whereas with on demand, what we're doing is we have an integration into Shopify. So somebody will download our app into Shopify. They will create a product, and that product will then be pushed live to their Shopify store. And the only time that we'll ever create that product is once it's ordered on the end consumer side. So it's a pretty big departure from having to bulk screen print 100 pieces, inventory them, and then put them live onto your Shopify store to then sell. Whereas we're cutting down a lot of that time and again reducing a lot of that waste. But yeah, so every single shirt that we're doing on demand is a one-off unique piece.
No, I really do like that because it does cut back on waste. What I really like to do, instead of just making the whole show about sustainability, is maybe talk about the pros and cons. If you're a new brand, because we get that a lot. I know, Stephen, you probably hear it all the time. Being a distributor, we hear it through our customers about, their customers wanting to start their own brand, right? To have their own T-shirt brand, and I'm sure you saw it a lot, Kevin, in that music space. Like, the musicians want their own brand. There's a lot of private labeling involved. We see a lot more tearaway tags now on the apparel side because of that. And we're always saying, you can do them really quickly with those little heat transfers or, a lot easier that way, or some type of label. But let's go into some pros and cons in doing that. First off, I guess you have the cost of it. Let's talk about the cost. Let's lay that out first. I think that's a big one because most people may not understand the cost involved for both of them.
Yep. So cost is probably the biggest difference right now. So as we go into bulk, the higher you order, generally the lower the per piece cost is. Whereas with on demand, we're looking at a fixed cost. So let's just say we're selling a Gildan 5000 with a front print and a printed sizing label, like you mentioned, for anywhere from $8 to $10 on demand. Well, we all know that if we were to purchase 1,000, 10,000 of those, we're probably getting our cost back down to about $4 to $5. That's a little bit, that could be a little bit high. So you're kind of almost talking about 100% increase. But again, you're having the flexibility of having that one piece at a time. And if something doesn't sell, like let's just say we're investing 1,000 into 1,000 pieces and they just don't move, so that's not great for our customer, and it's definitely not great for us because they're going to lose confidence. They're going to start buying less and less and less. So then your price is going to go up anyways. So give them a shot. Go to an on-demand model where you can try a new design out, try a new product out. But yeah, that I would say right now the cost is like really the hardest part. But with everything in technology, it's going to get better and faster and cheaper over time. So
Kevin, it's interesting listening to your story. I feel like this is one of those times where our company had tried to make a similar move and we're too early. The technology wasn't ready. So we had old MS1s and MS2 digital print beds. And it was at the time where printing on black seemed like a crazy phenomenon, like in the digital print world. You had to do pre-treating, and we had paint guns with pre-treatment spray, and like floors were like just covered in the stuff. And it was just such a slow process too, where when we were trying to make timetables for pricing, it was time-based. It wasn't even, quantity based. It was like at a certain point, we can only print so many pieces per hour, and it's really interesting to see how we've got out of that completely. We're like, there's no way we're going to keep up with this type of machinery. But there's new things in apparel like direct to film even, which is becoming super popular. So instead of having the screen print and the digital, even it's, you can just print all of the labels, right? And then heat press them on demand. And then there's higher end digital print machines. So it's getting where the technology it fits, with the market a lot better. Is that what you've kind of seen as you've entered the space, that it's every day it seems like something else is coming out to make it easier or better?
Absolutely. Yeah, because you're totally right, especially the pre-treat and the spray gun. I mean, the pre-treat is like the worst part because, it's so sticky, it gets everywhere. It's never fun to work with. But yes, no, I say even over the last 3 years, you're starting to see a lot cheaper on the ink price, so I'd say over in the last 6 to 7 years, the cost of ink is probably reduced to a quarter of what it was. And now you have some third-party ink vendors coming into play, so that's going to become even more competitive. And then I think you hit the nail on the head. When you think about on-demand printing, it's more so like thinking about embroidery, right? Because you can only stitch so many stitches in a minute, whereas you're exactly right. You can only print so many square inches in a minute. So whereas screen printing, we could print 600, 700 pieces an hour, regardless if it's a 1 color or a 13 color. I completely see it getting faster to where I'd say in probably the next 5 years, people are going to probably not be starting so many screen printing shops. They're going to be starting digital printing shops, just because of the ease of access.
Yeah, I have actually had some discussions with some pretty large printers, and they're transitioning to direct to film. Instead of having large setups with dryers and big round tables, they've got a printer that's this big, that can print out 1,000 logos on a giant sheet instead of, having to have huge, 16 round screen print machines and no dryers. It's just heat press rows, and it's got to be a cleaner process, less ink, less waste, all of that. I know you did mention one of the key points is the reduced waste. How do you deal with having inventory though? Like, because you still have to bulk buy the blanks, right? Is that something that you guys have figured out a nice way to kind of capture that part of it as well?
Yeah, absolutely. So so part of it is we do carry a lot of inventory in our warehouse. So because that's another part of on demand that's really important as far as getting product to people fast, because you're trying to essentially say that this was already on the shelf to the end consumer to say, hey, but it really wasn't, so we still need to be fast. So within that 3 time frame window, or like a 5-day turn time window, we want to have a lot of those top selling SKUs in our warehouse so that we're able to pull the same day the order comes in. We can pick it and hopefully print within the next day or 2 to get that shipped out. What we've actually been doing to expand our catalog is really leveraging people like SNS, because we do have a warehouse within a 1-day ship where we can actually leverage a lot of their inventory and do bulk buys through them and have the orders come next day, so that we're picking directly out of those boxes. And then we can expand our catalog because as you talked about direct to film, now with the advent of direct to film, we're no longer worrying about being able to print on polyester or any of these blends or any of these types of things. So
sorry, I had to unmute. My lawn people decided to just show up.
Yeah, actually, the borough has a strip of grass out here, like literally in front of my window, that they come to mow however often. It's like, of course, like during a live podcast is exactly.
I know.
I
know.
You know what? You guys deal with your lawn care crew. I'll handle this. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Fair
I
enough.
actually like what you were saying about that 1-day ship, and I think that's a really big part of what SNS has done is try to position ourselves as a 1 to 2 day ship to the entire industry to cut back on that, because we're finding that we're seeing a lot more of this on demand take over this industry. You're doing smaller pools and people are like bringing their own trucks, and I've also seen, just being on the supplier side and being a rep, people either do DTG really, really well, like yourself, or they're like, oh my gosh, I got this machine, I just got to sell it. So what's in between? Like, what are they doing wrong? Is it they just didn't market enough to keep that machine running, or like was it just not their niche, or what do you see when that happens?
Yeah, a great point. There is a huge gap as far as like the level of in quality of machines. Kind of what Stephen was talking about with pre-treat. I mean, you could have a spray gun and spraying pre-treat on, or you have something like ours where we have, we're pre-treating exactly where we're supposed to be printing, so, and it's like,
and Kevin, you guys have shirts now that come pre-treated already, right?
There are those as well. Yeah. So there's some of the shirts that are already being pre-treated. But yeah, so we're printing, like we have exact amount of grams of pre-treat we're putting on a shirt down to, within 1 to 2 grams. Whereas with a spray gun, you could be a little heavy handed and, those types of things. So there's the low end, which, it could be anywhere from, let's just say $10,000 to get into DTG. And then there's some, really enterprise level machines that go all the way up to 700,000, to get into DTG. So it really just depends on the level that you want to sink into it. And for us as Stoked on Printing, if we go into something, we go into it and we're going to make sure we're going to do it well. So we invest the capital, we invest the time and the resources to make sure that at the end of the day, it doesn't make any sense to put out a product that nobody's going to wear, because that's just equally as wasteful as putting 1,000 shirts into the dump.
Hey, so big picture here with on demand. I think the next evolution is obviously taking it, in addition to apparel, to product. And I'm curious to know your guys' opinion on when and where, I guess, the feasibility of that would be. And I think, as we've touched on a couple times, that because it's a time-based issue, no one wants to buy huge quantities of products with no discount or at a higher premium. So I'm just wondering, what do we think that we're close to seeing that equipment can handle product in large formats? Like, what do you guys think?
Yes, absolutely. So really, it is just a matter of time. I mean, we're already doing testing with laser capability, so being able to laser engrave on for the promo space. We're talking like USBs, drinkware, all of those types of things, as well as there's already UV printers that we're able to send a rip into that you could do a full color phone case. All of those types of things that you could realistically all do. The issue is, like you said, we do have to have that inventory on the shelf. So, we have to have, maybe 1,000 pieces of that phone case or that drinkware to really replicate, because to speak to your customer base, I think there's an entirely huge opportunity when you're talking about company stores being on demand and no longer having to have those thresholds of like maybe 100 employee company store thresholds. You can go down to 10, 15, because you do have that cost in setting up the store. However, you're able from there on out to just run that store in perpetuity, and it just flows through. There's a lot of ways to automate those invoices and those transactions too.
Yeah. So Kevin, I've got a question for you. Since you said that you're integrated with Shopify, I mean, is there a sustainable way, or feasible way to do this with traditional screen printing, or is it really only a DTG, direct to garment type of printing situation that's capable of doing the on-demand stuff, like economically?
You totally can. There's still the pre-order model of getting to say like, hey, instead of this shipping out in 3 days, this might ship out in 2 weeks, where you then just batch all the orders that came in, and then you just move that to screen print. You for sure can do that. We try not to do that too much, because again, we're really just trying to streamline the process. So to make sure that the customer's having the same experience, whether they buy this shirt or this shirt. But yes, no, you totally could batch things, especially as you're talking about larger clientele that's pushing a lot of volume in a short amount of time. When you say, oh gosh, we just got 2,000 pieces overnight from this release. Hey, let's throw that on the press. We'll knock it out in a couple hours and then be able to ship it out.
Sure.
Yep.
Meg, you look like you've got some more questions.
Sure, if you want to hear the weed whacker, but so I think what I like to see it in this realm is a lot of the stores. I think it really works for the company stores, the online stores, the school stores, the sports stores, the influencer stores. You guys do a really good job with that. Is there any advice that you can give to somebody that wants to do this, and like first steps or where to start?
Yeah, I think learning about Shopify and all the things that platform can do for yourself as well as companies is a huge thing. Like, that company's not going away, and if anything, they're becoming the gold standard for any like companies of all sizes, as well as influencers, local businesses, to start and to have an online presence, and be able to create a full website, and then have all of that e-commerce product back end as well. So I think looking into Shopify, those types of things, because there are some other solutions. We have our own free store solution as well, but it's not robust. The things that you can, once you download Shopify, the power of the back end marketing, all the apps that they have in their app store is just unmatched, really, in my opinion.
Nice, thank you. I think that's a really good idea. And I agree with you on the pre-ordering thing. It's not ideal, but to reduce waste. I know when we do that for promo cares or for the PPF live concert series, we're holding these fundraisers, and the last thing we want to do is over order, right? Because it takes out your margin. So we're having to pre-order, but I do like having this on-demand setup, which also brings me into the next small topic of fulfillment. How does this play into it with the print shop versus on-demand when it comes to fulfillment? Is it the same? Is it easier? Is it harder?
Oh, it's so much easier because, traditional fulfillment takes space, right? And we all know, anybody who deals with fulfillment, you know about dead space, right? That product that somebody needed 100 of this product and they just had to have it. And you're like, okay, I'm going to sell it to you, but I know it's going to sit on the shelf for forever. And then you have to have that conversation. How, at what point are we replacing that inventory? Do you guys want us to ship it to you? In this, you completely remove that. You no longer have any dead inventory. You no longer have any dead space. So everything in our on-demand side of the fulfillment, we're turning over daily. We have incoming orders to replace, but we're constantly turning that over. So we're really able to reduce our footprint when it comes to that. But there just still are certain products that just cannot be done on demand, that you still have to have that fulfillment. But it's what we call hybrid fulfillment. So we could still have, let's just say a keychain or something like that, like a speaker that we have the speaker, and then we have an on-demand shirt. We're able to bin those and able to ship them out at the same time. So
Nice.
That's impressive.
Now, Steve, as a distributor that does some production and fulfillment yourself, I mean, is direct to garment or the on-demand stuff ever been something that you guys have considered there with what you're doing?
Yeah, I mean, we do that with embroidery. So that's, a lot of our apparel stores and things we don't have, and we actually, I don't want to say take it one step further, it's just different. We don't even order the goods, so we don't even sit on the inventory. We just kind of order it as they order, to take away from that space like you were talking about for what we need. Because there are some groups out there that have shipping programs that we kind of bought into that allow us to do one at a time. But yeah, from a fulfillment standpoint, we do tons of that. Most of ours is client-owned inventory of fulfillment, so it's different than on-demand fulfillment, and it's more of the dead space and more of the inventory management. So we're hybrid as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was going to say that hybrid is very stressful, just from being on the end of it and having to see, like, I can't get the inventory. The Richardson 112s were there yesterday. They were there 5 minutes.
It is interesting. There are a lot of things. When you have a platform like Shopify, it's great when you have the inventory. I know there's some newer stores that are coming out. I think like Tony Wavering and his group, they've got the 10 they have 10 merch. 10 merch is their web store platform, which fully integrates with the promo standards. So you can link inventory so people aren't able to order things that are out of stock, and it's about a 1 hour delay. So instead of it being a 1 day delay or 2 day delay, you actually know as long as you get that order in, when they put the order in, the pieces will still be there. So there's new things that are coming out, which I think will help people that don't have the space for an on-demand inventory, but do want to do some sort of on-demand. There's some stuff out there, which is exciting. So
Yeah, absolutely.
Very cool. Meg, Steven, any other questions to ask Kevin while we've got him?
Man, I don't think so. I feel like I will after I hang up, just because I'm really into this kind of stuff, obviously. I love it, and I love all the stuff that you're doing on social media. Kevin, can you tell our listeners where they can find you on social media to see all the cool stuff that you guys are doing?
Yeah, so the biggest place we post is Instagram. So it's instagram.com/stokedonprinting. We also have a YouTube, as well as I post on LinkedIn every single day. So if you want to follow me on LinkedIn as well, it's just search my name, Kevin Oakley. But yeah, those are the best places to find us. And we're, again, on Instagram, we post every day as well. So.
Very cool.
That's great.
Yeah,
you guys have a really big following there, and I think it's great. I love it. I love seeing what people are doing. It kind of humanizes you. I've seen a bunch of interviews with you that you've done with Belly Canvas and SNS, and I'm excited. This is the first time I've gotten to meet you, so it was really nice to meet you, and it's a pleasure to have you on the show. It really was. You're a wealth of information, so thank you.
Awesome. No, thank you all for having me, and it was really great to talk with you all.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. Thank you for joining us and to talk with us about the on-demand printing and the sustainability of the model and all that good stuff. So really excited. And again, we'll take it out with our sponsors from this week. Our good friends over at Sagni, talk about Promotions East again. Yeah.
Sagni is thrilled to be hosting the all-new Promotions East. New dates, new location, and new experience. Join us October 17th through the 19th at Harrah's Resort in Atlantic City, where we will meet, stay, and play all in one place. Registration is now open for distributors. Visit promotionseast.com/attend and use promo code PC2022 to claim your free registration. Check out promotionseast.com for all the details and follow Sagni on social media.
Kevin, thanks again for joining us. Meg, Stephen, looking forward to seeing you on the next episode. And until next time, guys, take care.
Thank
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Promo Corner's Industry Insider. For more great content from industry thought leaders, including podcasts, blogs, and videos, visit promocorner.com.